I'm never satisfied. It's a problem. Proving people wrong was always something that I loved it. You know, when people doubt you or people don't think you can do something, it just gives you that motivation. We are the most advanced real estate investment platform in the world.
In the world.
In the world. What we do is we do one viewing, we give you one price, and we transact. Done. This is the golden age of the MENA region.
Why do you have a great team? What do you do differently?
We empower people and we trust. The demons in your mind, they're playing, right? They're like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you do that? But I think at the end of the day, you just need to convince yourself and have that courage to be like, no, I made the right decision.
How well does the stake solve this problem?
There's three things that we focus on, which is accessibility, allowing anyone from anywhere in the world to invest in real estate, starting from 500 dirhams. We give transparency, allowing people to access the information. And then, diversity. If you have $100,000 to invest, you shouldn't put all of it in stake. You should diversify. What excites me the most, Samir, is we will be the first platform that allows international investors to invest through stake on one app into Saudi Arabia. Literally, from one app, you can invest in Dubai and invest in Saudi.
Hello.
Hey, Samir.
Hey, Rami. How are you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for being here, for giving us your time. I hope it's going to be an amazing episode, and I hope you're prepared for some tough questions.
When you told me to do this, I was actually thinking, I don't know, do I or do I not? I know Samir is very tough. He asks all the uncomfortable questions. So, I've been thinking about this since we last spoke. So, no, I'm ready. Let's do this.
Thank you, man. I honestly think you have a lot of good things to teach us and the ecosystem when it comes to how you run stake, what happened, etc. I do have some technical and non-technical questions. But also I'm interested to get to know you, also get to know what went in your head to get started with this. So maybe as just a quick intro, if you can talk a little bit more about you. I know you're originally Lebanese, studied a bit in Lebanon. Give us a little bit of background on, what happened in your early childhood that led you to Dubai, etc. And then to get started with stake.
Quick background. Yes, originally Lebanese, born in Lebanon, grew up there, went to high school and university there. In between school, I moved to Canada, lived there for 5 years, got the Canadian citizenship like a lot of Lebanese people did back then, and then came back to Lebanon for high school and university. Went to ACS, American Community School, and then went to AUB, graduated from there. Actually, ACS in 10th grade, so I was around 15, 16 years old, is where I met my co-founder, Manar. Been, best friends since then. So that's how I met one of my co-founders, and we can get into Ricardo later. But stayed there, finished university, and then moved to Dubai in 2006.
Okay. Were you a good student?
To be honest with you, listen, I studied hard, but I was good. I was average in many subjects, but I was good in the different subjects. But I think school for me was a lot more, my personality was a lot more social. And I think that's why I went into sales. I was always an outgoing guy, very sociable, had a lot of friends. And that's kind of what led me to go into real estate and sales, and I'll get into that. So,
did you make money in university school? Did you university or school years? Did you sell anything to anyone? These stories?
I tried. I did internships. I definitely did internships at school. I tried to be part of. There was the student council, which I was part of. So I always try to be in leadership roles. And I did do internships. I did internships at Land Rover, try to sell cars. I did internships at a medical supplies company. I mean, honestly, anything in the summer that could pay for the nightclubs and going out at night, right? That's what we did when I was young. And then came to Dubai in 2006. And actually, funny enough, I didn't come to Dubai to do anything in real estate. I came to Dubai and worked for Procter & Gamble distributor, Transmed. So, in AUB, they used to come in and do these
job fairs.
Yeah, job fairs, exactly. I moved to Dubai for them in 2006. I stayed in the company, I think, for 3 weeks, and I hated my life. And I said, I remember the first 3 weeks were literally waking up at 5 a.m., going to Ibn Battuta Mall and stacking shelves with Procter & Gamble products.
Okay.
And I remember saying, okay, listen, I didn't sign up for this.
There's no reward.
Yeah. I knew there was people from AUB that were in the company that were there, years before me, and they were super happy. But obviously, they're in higher positions, and I'm like, so yeah. And then I hated my life. I remember I was talking to my parents. I'm like, I don't want to do this. They're like, what's wrong with you? You just got into Dubai. Don't be weak.
Entitled. Weak.
Yeah, don't be entitled. Just, roll up your sleeves. And I remember saying, no, I don't want to do this. But anyways, long story short, I met up with a family friend who knew two English guys starting a real estate company called The First Group out of a 2-bedroom apartment. I met them and I joined them as their first salesperson. And that's how I got into real estate.
You were selling properties?
Yeah, I was actually the first sales guy in a company called The First Group, 2-bedroom apartment. Literally, we were like 4 or 5 people back then. And I was the first sales guy. And I remember back then in 2006, for those of you who've been in Dubai that long or remember it, it was when, Dubai was starting to go crazy. Shahzad was packed. You didn't have, as many roads. Infrastructure was still getting built. And I was literally the first salesman. I remember I rented a Peugeot, and I would drive clients around construction sites, showing them, this is going to be marina. This is going to be a sports city. And yeah, that's how I got into real estate.
And you stayed for quite a while, though.
I stayed with The First Group for just over 12 years, grew the business. I ended up running all sales for the company. We had around 300 people reporting into the whole sales operation myself. Beauty of that is that was like an entrepreneurial start for me, right? Because you're starting off with a company with 2 owners and you're having to build the company with them. And it was just an amazing experience. And throughout my career with them, I got to really get exposed to different places. So not many people know this, but I lived in Russia for 1 year, running a sales and marketing operation there, lived in Moscow. And then after that, I moved to Nigeria, lived there for a year, setting up a sales and marketing operation there. So I really got to travel and see how much Dubai appeals to people around the world. Everyone at that point, imagine I was like 24 years old and I was seeing, people in as far as, Siberia want a piece of Dubai. People in Nigeria. And the reason why we set up in these places is because Moscow served all of former CIS and then Nigeria served West Africa. So we were seeing people in Ghana and in Nigeria and Angola, South Africa. People just wanted a piece of Dubai. So that started, opening my eyes. Dubai is really one of the best cities in the world. People want a piece of it. So yeah, I did that for 12 years. Really, I owe a lot to the guys there, grew with them. We did really well. But then, you get to a point where I kind of wanted a different challenge. So I left them in around 2017.
And then DAMAC.
And then DAMAC, which was one of the largest real estate developers in town. They at the time they were publicly listed. They're no longer publicly listed. They took the company private. But I always admired the chairman of DAMAC, Saint Sajwani. You hear a lot about him. He's definitely a market setter, a market leader, and getting the opportunity to work with him was a no-brainer. So I ended up joining DAMAC as a senior vice president of sales. Basically, my remit was much bigger because we had operations in Saudi Arabia, London, Lebanon, Kuwait. So I was running all of sales there, all direct sales, reporting directly to him. The team was much bigger and sales were much bigger. I remember at the time we were selling around 4 billion dirhams a year of real estate. And, that was really exciting. And I learned a lot from that organization. Did that for 2.5 years. But I think, when you're in real estate and you're in real estate for a long time, I think people who are in the property market can attest to this. You either end up working for a developer or you end up setting up your own brokerage. If you want to take that entrepreneurial risk, you set up a brokerage. I think there's like 25,000 brokers in Dubai. So you're one of those.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah. And just I don't know how many brokerages there are. I don't know what the latest figure are, but it's just, there's so many. So you either end up opening up your own brokerage, or if you can raise money, you go into development. And you take that risk where you're actually building and you're having to raise a lot of money. And I remember, I wasn't excited after doing it for so long. I was like, okay, no, I want to do something on my own. And is it brokerage? Is that something that excites me? And I remember, writing down on a paper, okay, what are the pros and cons of a brokerage? And is that something that will excite me? And, when you go into entrepreneurship, you're not going to go back. That's it. This is going to set your career for life. So I'm like, okay, is that something that I want to do? And I remember Manar and I, my co-founder, we're both talking while he was in his previous job and I was at DAMAC. And we both, just weren't fulfilled. We wanted to do something new. And I remember while we were both at work, we started talking about, okay, he's the finance guy, I'm the real estate guy. How do we bring, and Manar was always amazed at how much real estate I sold. He's like, I don't understand. You're telling me you made how much this month by selling what? Just, people just line up and buy,
Yeah.
properties on a brochure. And that always interested him. And, we got together saying, okay, how do we put our strengths together and create a product that allows people to invest in real estate? And I just want to go back a bit. When you're in real estate for so long, I'm not going to lie, you see a lot of inefficiencies, mis-selling,
non-transparent things,
not transparent, retail investors buying the wrong product, sitting down with the wrong broker, or sitting down with the wrong person. I mean, it's just, Dubai is an amazing city and people want a piece of it, but you can end up buying the wrong product and lose your life savings. And we're not talking about, you're not buying $1,000 product. You're buying a $400,000 product. You're buying a home. And at the time, a lot of people were buying investment for investment purposes. So, and I was on that side, right? And I'll give you a perfect story. And this is when I started realizing, okay, there's something wrong here. There's a product, I won't name who the developer is, but there was a product that was not selling. And we were in the meeting and it wasn't selling because it just wasn't a great product and not a great location. And, I remember someone asking, okay, why is this not selling? And how can we sell this product? And someone jumps in and says, I know how to sell this product. We just increase commissions. We're paying commissions today of 4%. Let's pay 6%. Okay. So, the person in charge was like, fine, let's do that. And then before you know it, the product sold. And what that shows you is, even though it wasn't a great product, if people were incentivized to sell it, the commission was high enough, people will sell.
But what would they do differently though? What would happen differently?
They just focus on it and maybe missell or overpromise or whatever it is, right?
That's what I mean. Like, is it the incremental commission that changes your moral compass, or is it just makes you work harder? Which one was it? I mean,
listen, we can debate this all day long, but money will always, kind of shift your moral compass. And I saw that firsthand, and that wasn't, that's not the way to sell real estate. But again, this happens all over the world. And when you look at it, it's like, okay, so that's, people deserve a better way of experiencing real estate. And then I'll tell you, so for so long in real estate, I was always on the front line. So I would meet clients. I love meeting clients. Even until today at Stake, I meet investors all day long. I speak to them. I email them. It's just a passion of mine.
Why?
It's the only way you learn if you're building the right product, if you're building, what people want.
Like super front facing, listening to every single complaint, listening to every single idea.
I mean, I'll give you a crazy stat. Up until 3 months ago, I had emailed over 17,000 people.
From Stake, like since the beginning of Stake, you mean? Or
yeah. Oh, at the end of every week or at the end of every month, I would sit down, block 2 hours, and I would send an email personal to people who've invested on the platform. And I would get those replies and I would reply to every single one of them. Honestly, it was just something that I was addicted to.
Wow.
So I say that because
that compounds a lot.
100%. And it gets you kind of aware of where the company's failing. Okay, this is not working. This is working. And then you can feed that back to the heads, the product team, the marketing team. I mean, it's something that keeps your mind going. So I love doing that. And, why I'm saying this is because in real estate, I would meet all these clients and there was always one of the biggest things. Okay, people who wanted to invest in real estate, but they just couldn't afford it. And the reason was like, listen, I can't get a mortgage. I can't afford it. I don't want to put all my life savings. And then they're like, okay, so people want to invest in this asset class. Real estate is the largest asset class in the world. In our part of the world, people love real estate. You're taught from when you're young, if you make money by your parents, immediately put it in a home. So, okay, but there's always that affordability factor. So how do you create a product that allows people to get transparent information, which is going back to what I was saying before, and then affordable? Fractional. How can people afford investing in real estate? And keep in mind, this part of the world is not like, it's not as developed yet as it is in the US or in Europe, where you can get a mortgage real quick and easily, especially if you're a non-resident. REITs are not as common as they are in other parts of the world, so you can invest in real estate through a REIT. So people here want access to real estate, and that's why the markets in this part of the world have so much opportunity, because people want access, they love it, but then they have to buy a full home or they have to buy something off-plan. And then another deficiency that I saw is the people buying off-plan, people who are investing, buying a property, waiting 5 years to see any returns. And then most of the time it's delayed, and most of the time it doesn't look like the brochure. And then, why do that when you can buy something that's ready, that can start giving you income immediately? Those learnings when I was in real estate really helped Manar and I start talking about the product. And while we were both at our jobs, started speaking to the regulator, the DFSA. We're based in the IFC, regulated by the DFSA, the Dubai Financial Services Authority, to get regulated. And basically, it took us 12 months, close to 12 months to get the license.
Wow. So idea, and then in this industry, you need at least 12 months. Even with a great idea, with everything, you can't start really get building before getting the approval.
I think it's much faster now. What hurt us at the time was COVID happened.
Oh, okay.
So we started talking to the regulator back in October 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And then we didn't get the okay to go live till October 2019, sorry, October 2020. But then there was COVID in the middle. So that I think slowed things down.
Yeah.
But yeah, from then to that, that's how long it took. And yeah, that's how Stake was formed.
Back to, I wanted to just ask you, was there also a third deficiency that I think you're also solving, which is how do I pick? How do I know which one will get me a good return versus not? How well does the Stake solve this problem to people listening?
100%. For us, there's three things that we focus on, which is accessibility, allowing anyone from anywhere in the world to invest in real estate, starting from 500 dirhams. We give transparency, allowing people to access the information. Every property that goes on the platform goes through a valuation report. You get the full information. What are the latest transactions? What is the potential income? Is it rented? Is it vacant? What is our strategy there? So they get that. And then, diversification. So today, I really believe that if you have $100,000 to invest, you shouldn't put all of it in Stake. You should diversify. And we really believe in diversity. And even, buying a full home as an investment, in my opinion, putting all that money into one property while you can diversify is also a smart strategy, right? Now you can buy a full home and rent it out, and great. But also, I believe people with limited funds, how do you diversify? And that's what Stake does. It allows you to really diversify that income across different properties. So if you have $10,000, put it across 4 or 5 different properties, you lower your risk, your vacancy risk, any capital appreciation risk, and then we allow you to do that. And most importantly is you're doing it on an app. So digitally, real estate for even till today is still known as very archaic. It's like heavy. It's a heavy asset. And I remember, and we can get into that later, but whenever you spoke to someone, oh, what are you guys doing in real estate? Oh, when you're trying to raise money, oh, it's heavy. It's a heavy asset. What we're doing now, and I think, no one's done this yet, is when you find a property online, it's an offline experience. You need to speak to someone offline. What's up?
You need to see it. You need
to see it. Exactly. What we've done is enable people to find a property online, invest in it, earn income, get the documentation, all on an app. And that's really, we've pushed the envelope. And again, I keep saying this, people think, why? We are the most advanced real estate investment platform in the world.
In the world.
With full confidence.
Wow.
With full confidence. We have the most advanced real estate investment platform in the world.
We're talking in terms of tech, in terms of product.
In terms of tech, in terms of product, in terms of user experience, reach. When I tell you we have over 650,000 users from 204 nationalities and 180 countries. So we have reach. And that's really testament to what Dubai is all about. People want peace in Dubai.
That's just Dubai. We're still in one city or in one country at least.
We're just in Dubai. We'll be going to Saudi very soon. We'll talk about that.
Okay, great. Now, going back to how Stake started, I think it's one of the very important things. I believe that you, let's say, got lucky in terms of your previous work experience. The first one, actually, is that you really joined a startup, right? You joined like a business just getting started, but also you didn't carry a lot of risk besides like choosing to work with them. But you really didn't have to risk a lot. However, you got the full experience. How much do you agree to that? And how much of Stake is really due to at least talking about you and your skills back to this origin experience? And how could people replicate that?
100%. I think, when you join a company that's 2 people and then you grow to over 1,000, so that kind of gives you the experience of scale. And I was always never scared of risk. So, I remember when we were in the first group and the owners were like, okay, hey, listen, we want to open a sales operation in Russia. Who wants to go? I immediately put my hand up. And, when we did well there, he asked the same question. Okay, we're going to open a sales operation in Nigeria. Who wants to go? And I really immediately put my hand up. So, I was never scared of like new risks, taking new challenges. And that's kind of like what set my DNA to like take risks and jump into, new challenges. And I remember same thing happened when I moved to DAMAC. After you're in a company for 12 years, people are like, okay, you're in your comfort zone. Why would you leave? I remember when I left, people were like, why would you take that risk? You're close to being a partner in that company. You're doing really well. But I just feel like, things get stagnant, and I wanted to take that
It's
risk.
exactly why. It's because you're doing extremely well, and
100%, and you want to take that jump. So, I've always done that. So I think that's really what made me kind of uh launch Stake, and set my personality to be able to take those risks.
And do you think there's anything else that contributed to this personality of, risk taking? Obviously, all major entrepreneurs are risk takers by nature and by definition, but like anything else from before that brought this initial confidence to raise your hand? Because it takes confidence to raise your hand. What brought this confidence to Rami?
I like, my biggest critic is myself. Like, I'm the biggest critic of myself, honestly, and I think I'm never satisfied. It's a problem. And I'll tell you, anyone who works directly with me will tell you, Rami will always change targets. If we say we need to do 100 and we do 100, I'll be like, no, yeah, it's great, but yeah, we need to do 200. And I think that's always something it's always been part of me. I've always wanted to like push and challenge myself and say, okay, when we set a target, we need to break it. Proving people wrong was always something that I loved it. I absolutely love that. When people doubt you or people don't think you can do something, it's just fire. It helps you prove yourself more than proving other people wrong, but it's just, hey, I can do this. And it just gives you that motivation.
So you kind of like trained yourself on consistently challenge yourself and prove yourself wrong and like do the thing. And then, just don't get satisfied. Just, chase more goals, bigger goals. You really trained your mindset.
100%. And I say, for me, sales is the most important kind of skill, especially in real estate in Dubai. It's a very aggressive environment. And I think, when you're in real estate and you have targets, you need to hit those targets. I've always been trained since, because real estate was my first job. I was 22 years old, fresh out of university, right? I mean, if you consider the distribution kind of business for 3 weeks, but really real estate was my first thing. And then you come in and it's like this daily struggle, it's that daily push. And that really trains your mind to like, okay, yeah, you need to think long term, but what are we doing today? What are we achieving today? And I think that really kind of morphs something into you where you're like, I need to fight every day. What am I pushing for? What am I aiming for? And I ran sales teams as big as 300, 400 people. And when you're doing that, it's like, hey guys, we have this target, and you're pushing people daily to hit that. And that's really helped me with Stake.
And you kind of also have seen that it's feasible. Like you get the market, you have some confidence selling in this space, and you've got early validation. So like, something that maybe others don't, or like your competitors don't, or someone who's not in the industry who's getting started, they don't even know what target to start with. While you know that if you reach these in 2 weeks, probably you can double it, and, still deliver. Like you've seen it firsthand.
100%. And I always believe that if you're going to start a business, you're better off starting a business in an industry that you have experience in. That's always been kind of, if you've worked in food, then do something in the food space. If you worked in real estate, do something. I mean, it's just a no-brainer because like you've lived it, you've experienced it, you've seen the ups, the downs, you know where the intricacies are, you know where you can fix it. It's just, so that's really, really helped me massively.
Yeah. And the details. And if you've done it for 15 years, most probably you like it. Like you like the industry already. Why even go check anything else? Like it's part of what you like. And it's kind of your genius zone, right? Like you're getting to your genius zone. So basically in your case, I guess it's sales, real estate, and great user experience. Like if it's around these things, this is where you would gravitate. Yeah.
100%. And I think this is what's really helped us is with the 3 co-founders, everyone comes in with a different, recipe. And that's really what helps because everyone has a passion for the real estate space, but everyone comes in with their own experience. And again, going back to what you're saying, it's passion. If you love it and you love the industry and you love what you're doing, everything else becomes easy and nothing becomes, I don't think, no challenge becomes difficult. When we sit down here and talk about, when we first launched the business, how do you get brokers to believe in Stake? Well, easy. We can do that. You just need to show them that they're going to make their money. They're going to make money and you're not here to threaten them. And I think these things are so important because you understand the business and the ecosystem.
Okay, great. Now, first year, as you're saying, you got the idea. You kind of have a very big gut feeling that is going to work. You're waiting a year to get the regulations approve you because of COVID, etc., wherever, whatnot. And what happened in this year? You and Manar, like really tangibly, what happened? What did you guys do? Did you waste a year? Did you start validating? What happened the first year?
This is a funny story not many people know. I remember Manar and I, when we when we decided to launch the business, I started applying for the license. We had agreed that we would leave our jobs when we got the license. And I remember, I just couldn't wait. And I remember I called up Manar one day and I'm like, I left. He's like, what do you mean? I said, yeah, I left. I'm out. He's like, what? I thought we were waiting for us to get the license. I'm like, no, listen, I'm out. He's like, man, you're crazy. And honestly, I remember I came back home and I said, because obviously my wife knew that I was launching this business, and I'm like, hey, by the way, now I'm full time. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, I'm full time on stake. And she's like, but I thought you were going to wait. I'm like, no. And it was literally when COVID was starting.
I thought you had brains, but I thought it is logic.
Yeah. And again, it's just like you realize that you're working on the license, and for this to go forward, you need to give it your full time, not just from, the regulation will take care of itself in the sense of, okay, they'll ask you for documents, you need to submit them, but actually building the product.
Yeah.
And starting to hire their initial team and all that stuff.
Yeah. So basically, you placed a bet that this is gonna happen anyway. Like, we're gonna get regulated. So why waste 1 minute? Like, this was
100%.
Like, I was having a next comment, but the reality is, like, you knew like most probably it's gonna happen, might be delayed, wherever. But how am I not now be in control already of what I can do meanwhile?
100%. Like, we knew we were gonna get the license. Yeah. There was no. I mean, there's no two ways about it. We knew that it was going to happen.
But let's really address your risk here. First of all, you've been in 15 years. Let's be very realistic. To founders who also are looking and seeing what they do. One of them was me a few years ago, also like 7 years ago, when I started my first business, etc. Were you in a position where financially you'd be good taking this risk, leaving your job, waiting? Because what if you didn't get really past the regulation or wherever? Like, were you in a good position at least to say, okay, you know what? At least I would give it my best. Maximum, I'll go back. I'm senior enough in the industry. I can pick up another job. What went in your mind really when you took the risk?
So good is very subjective, I think. I think I had savings. I had some savings on the side. But I also have 2 kids.
In Dubai.
And people in Dubai, and I have a home. So you need to pay for your home. You need to pay for the school. You need to, But I took that risk knowing that, God forbid anything happens, you could always go back to the market.
Yeah.
Right. And I think you have to, it's the hardest thing, honestly, like you lose sleep and you're like, oh my God, how am I going to do this? But I think if you really believe, first of all, if you really aren't happy with what you're doing, my first advice is leave. Like, life's too short. I don't want to sound too philosophical right now, but life is too short, right?
Yes. That's what you'll tell your kid. This is what you will tell your kid anyway. So
yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going to wake up every day in the morning. If you're hating your life, you're hating your job, you hate your manager, whatever it is, why the hell are you going to, I mean, people are like, yeah, but I need to make an income. But, if you really believe in yourself and you're good, then you'll land on your 2 feet somewhere else, right? And you'll perform even a lot better because you're happier at your job, which means you'll get more income, you'll get bonuses, promotions, all that stuff. People tend to think, oh, I don't want to take the risk because the income's so important to me. But if you're really hating your job, the income doesn't mean anything because you can perform better and actually earn more and have a better career.
Better environment, exactly.
Better environment, exactly. So, right. So, and I think for me, it's like, okay, I took that decision. I had some savings, and I'm like, if not now, when? I was 35, turning 36, 2 kids, and I'm like, I need to do this. So yeah, it was a gamble, it was a risk, but again, at the end of the day, it was something that it was calculated because I knew that, God forbid, I could go back to the market and figure out what I want to do.
Yep.
And that's what made me do it. But I'll say it's that decision that you make, you'll probably regret every day for the first year. Until you get your first paying customer, you'll probably regret it 20 times.
Yeah.
And honestly, don't be scared of that.
Yeah.
It's that,
self-doubt.
They call it the demons in your mind, they're playing, right? They're like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Why do you do that? But I think at the end of the day, you just need to convince yourself and have that courage to be like, no, I made the right decision. I believe in this. I'm going to take this forward.
Because there are unproductive thoughts, to be honest. There are unproductive thoughts. We all have them, but they're very unproductive at the moment. Like, all right, so what? I know I took the risk. Now I need to I need to go all in, and then we'll see. Like, there will be a time where we should judge, maybe. But like, until then, just keep the full conviction. This is the only thing that matters.
And there's one thing that I love. There's like the saying that says, I'd rather regret things I did than things I didn't, which is so true.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
So yeah, we took the gamble. I left my job. I started doing this full time. And keep in mind, at the time we hadn't raised money.
Yep.
So we were starting to, we need to build the product. And keep in mind, Manar and I had no technical experience. We are not tech guys.
Yes.
Manar is an ex-banker. I'm an ex-real estate guy. We don't know where to build. So we ended up finding like a tech consultant who found us engineers out of Palestine. who helped us build the product. At the time, if you remember, there was a war between Israel and Palestine back in during COVID. It was like in March, and our engineers would lose electricity. They couldn't. So we really were building a product with a lot of issues happening around it. It wasn't a committed team, right? A lot of risk around it, and that's when, and we were paying out of our own pockets. We were paying for this, trying to get a product, see how it looks. We were working with designers out of Lebanon. Just trying to see, okay, what is Steak going to look like? But then Manad and I realized, okay, listen, we need to find a third co-founder who's going to be our tech lead.
Were you looking for a co-founder, or were you looking for tech lead, CTO?
This is a fantastic question. We were looking for a CTO. We were looking for a CTO at the start, and we started speaking to headhunters and interviews. We went through interviews, and keep in mind, Manad and I are not the technical guys, so when we're speaking to people, we're like, okay, is he good? He said he seems to be good. His experience seems to be good. Until really we found Ricardo. And through a headhunter, Ricardo, who's our CPTO, so he heads all of product and tech at Stake. And literally, when we interviewed him, it was love at first sight. That we connected. And I'll talk about that because our personalities really matched. But unfortunately, at the time, we couldn't afford Ricardo. So we loved him so much, but we couldn't make it work. We told him we're going to come back. We're going to talk again. When we raise some money, we will definitely be in touch. So we had to find the middle ground at the time. And we ended up hiring a VP of engineering out of Canada that we shipped over. He flew down to Dubai and became our first VP of engineering. That's that. And then we built the product and started hiring some people, basically.
But then wait, let's continue on Ricardo. So what happened? Because I've also worked a bit with Ricardo. I met him. I know how much you guys are in sync. Tell us a bit more, as any struggling founder who's not technical, and most founders in MENA are not technical, they're own business people, because it's very expensive to be technical first and build a startup, honestly speaking. So how did you get lucky, or was it just you really met a lot of people? How did you end up having a great co-founder who's very technical, and now this becomes an advantage instead of being a problem?
So the first advice I would say to anyone, and I remember someone said this to me. Actually, I'll say his name. His name is Anis Harb. He's the GM of Deliveroo, a very good friend of mine. I remember I went to his house. It was during COVID, but I had launched Stake. He's been with Deliveroo since the early days. And I went over to his house. He was a neighbor of mine. And I'm like, listen, we're hiring people. And I think there's a bit of a culture difference. When you're in real estate and banking, like Manad and I, you work 7 days a week, 24 hours, right? And I think people tend to think startups, they see them on TV or they hear, it's like, work from anywhere, work from home, pizzas in the office, ping pong, whatever it is. But Manad and I and Ricardo are not like that. We're not positioned that way. We're not structured that way. We work hard. We work long hours. We work under pressure. And I remember some of the early hires we made weren't like that. And we ended up hiring, and this is very important because you end up hiring people. And this is what Anis told me. He's like, don't hire people to fit into your company. Don't force people to fit into the culture you're trying to create. Hire people that already have the same culture that you want. And that was such an important thing, because I was telling him, I'm like, the first couple of hires that we hired, they felt there was so much pressure. They felt that, we were too hard. And he's like, Rami, because you're hiring the wrong people. Some people want that and they'll find the company for them. But you need to find the people that are going to work under pressure, that are going to give it 100%, that will, pick up on a message from you at midnight or 3 a.m. and will just go.
Yeah.
And when we heard that, and we ended up, when we met Ricardo, we're like, okay, we really need, first of all, him to join us. And then we need that culture in the company. Everyone we need to hire needs to have that same mindset.
Yep.
So fast forward to when we ended up hiring Ricardo, and when we hired Ricardo, it was when we raised some family money. And keep in mind, Manad and I had really invested our own funds into the business. So, we were putting our money into this. And then we got some early checks from some friends and family, people who really believed in us. Were like, yeah, here's a check for $50,000. And then we were able to bring on Ricardo. And I remember, as soon as we first had our meeting with Ricardo, because he was based out of London, between London and Portugal. When we first had our first meeting in Dubai with Ricardo, we realized he's a co-founder.
Okay.
He's the guy. Yep. He's the man. And it was a no-brainer. We immediately said, and it was funny because Manar and I were like, said it at the same time. And really, it was, people ask us, what's the best decision you've made?
It's this one.
It was hire Ricardo, find Ricardo as a co-founder, bring him in, and really make this part of him, and make this his baby as well. So yeah, that's how we got to Ricardo, and really it's been phenomenal because each one of us has a different experience, brings something different to the table. And it really, I think, as three co-founders, we really complement each other.
That's awesome, man. And we can see that, right? And again, as you were saying, you believe you have one of the best products in the world. So like, you can see how far this decision has taken you. Okay, back to also complementing each other and co-founders. You have something interesting at stake that doesn't exist in a lot of companies, which is co-CEOs, sorry. Can you explain on that? Is it still true? Will it still be true forever? Or at some point you would actually split and, someone takes maybe different roles in terms of like I don't know. I've never worked in a company that has multiple CEOs, so I don't know how the split really happens and how you guys manage it internally and externally as well.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And I'll answer that. I want to say, because you told me, when we started this call, you said, what would you advise to entrepreneurs listening to this? Don't ever jeopardize on tech. I would say it's the single most important thing that you do as launching a business. And we had done that in the beginning, and it hurt us massively. But I think, don't
compromise. Yes.
Don't jeopardize, don't compromise. Exactly. It's so important. It really sets you apart from other people, sets you apart from other competitors, whatever it is. Your tech is what will make you or break you. So, that would be one advice. And that's why, we were very successful with Ricardo. So
accurate 100%, man. And I also have seen many of our clients or startups that we've worked with, etc., man. It's really one of the sometimes sad truth is that no matter how good the CEO is or the marketing team is or etc., but sometimes your tech doesn't stand, it breaks, a lot of bugs, bad UX, extremely low conversion rates, things that really are affecting your business every single day. And they just haven't seen maybe all right, your CAC could be 5 times better if it's just your site loads and then your form works and etc. And yeah, sorry, back to you, but I've seen it so many times
100%.
that
100%.
One of our we have ICPs at Growth Levers, when we want to really see who's great startups you can work with, ideal customer profiles. One of them is they need to have great tech, either a great co-founder CTO or just great tech team. They need to have great tech, otherwise in general they're not gonna go too far. We've seen it.
100%.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, I definitely agree. So yeah, going back to your question on the co-CEO. So just, I said earlier, Manad and I have known each other for 25 years. We're like brothers. Yeah. Honestly, we're family. Our
you're closer than brothers than brothers. You're closer than because you didn't.
Yeah.
You chose each other.
We exactly, and we're we've been through a lot from childhood. Our parents, our friends. I mean, we really go way back, and we come from different backgrounds. Manad is very technical in the sense of finance, legal, compliance. Mm-hmm. He's one of the smartest guys I know. And, I come from a very different background, which is real estate, sales, marketing. I remember when we first started talking about the business, we both have different strengths and we really complement each other. So when we sat down, we're like, okay, listen, I understand what I need to run in the business and you understand what you need to run in the business. I don't understand and I'm not good at what you're very good at.
Yeah.
And you're not good at what I'm very good at.
Yeah.
So let's focus on, making sure that it's very clear what our responsibilities are and what our KPIs are as individual, people. And we actually sat down and put on a piece of paper. We're like, okay, listen, you're good in this, I'm good in that. You had this, I had that. And that paper is still there today.
The guiding principle.
And it's very clear. And obviously, the beauty of it is for us, it's like, okay, I know what you're very good at. I know what you're bad at. You know what I'm very good at and you know what I'm bad at. So let's clear that, and that document that I was talking about is still there. And that document for me is what really sets us in the company. And that's not to say that today, if there's anything on real estate or marketing that I need his advice on, we'll sit down together and be like, hey, what do you think? And he'll give me his advice. And the same thing with compliance or finance or, legal or ops. And I think we've really clearly defined where each person is responsible. And everyone in the company clearly understands that if it's on this side of the business and we go to Rami, it's on this side, it goes to Manad. Listen, it's worked very well for the last 4 years or 3.5 years.
Yeah.
And when we get asked about it, the people understand it. People are like, okay, what do you mean by co-CEOs? And when they meet both of us, they're like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Because we're very different. We're very, very different.
Yep.
So it's worked well for us.
Awesome. And now that I got to listen to the full version of the answer, I think you kind of like, first of all, in your space, there's a lot of regulation, there's a lot of legal, there's a lot of compliance, there's a lot of finance, and then there's a lot of marketing, growth, numbers, sales, etc. So first of all, the industry itself dictates like you need multiple strong people in these areas. In your case, you really kind of have the divide. And second, I also think it's because of your relationship and the level of trust that you have and how far you go, is that like you really were able to put your heads together and form the best CEO for the company, and let like ego aside, everything aside, and like what's really the best CEO for the company? It's half of Rami's brain here and half of Manar's brain here, and that's that, and it just works.
Going back to trust, honestly, it's so important, right? And I think now when we were just closing our Series A round, there's a lot of legal stuff that was going on, which is Manar is very close to it. He's like super, professional when it comes to that stuff. He's like an expert, and I just trust him. He'd be like, Rami, this is what we should be doing. And I'm like, yeah, run with it. I trust you. And I think the same thing goes with marketing, and real estate or whatever. So it's that trust that we both want the well-being of the company and we both trust each other, that it works. I'd be lying to you if I say that we don't butt heads sometimes. Of course, co-founders and co-CEOs will always butt heads. But again, it's solved.
Yeah. It's usually either or, right? Like either like you're not operating based on ego, or you are. Like if you're not operating based on ego, like most probably you're never gonna have fights with your co-founders, I guess. Like if there's enough maturity and trust built in, like you're just following numbers. And
again, for me, ego, it doesn't exist really. It really doesn't exist. Especially because we have the history, right? So like, why are we gonna have ego with each other? Like we've known each other when we first got our driver's license. It's like,
yep.
We've known each other forever. So like, we don't have that. And again, it's like we both want to be very successful. And because of that, it's just, we were super aligned.
Okay, couple of questions, technical ones, let's say, in terms of you're kind of a marketplace at the end of the day. You have supply, you have demand, you have to match them, right? And initially when you launched the first, let's say, set of properties or property, like just the initial traction, you wanted to get the property first, but also you want to get the investors at the same time. How were you able to launch successfully and be able to deliver on your promise here and also get the investors and make it all work magically? You cannot afford to fail, plenty of these launches. How was from whatever you can share, of course?
Yeah, no, it kept us up at night. Because like you said, it's a two-sided marketplace, right? If you have a lot of real estate, but not enough demand, people are like, okay, this isn't moving. And if you have a lot of demand and not enough real estate, people are like, what am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. There's not enough opportunities. And I think we in the beginning, we had enough real estate, but not enough demand. And then that's when we had to really work on our marketing and our branding. And I always say this, people think that product is the most important thing. Yes, product and tech is very important. I agree. But your marketing, your brand, especially if you're in the investment space, in the fintech space, people are giving you the money. If you haven't built a proper brand, then you're going to lose out. You're going to lose out to your competitor without a doubt. And I think this is what we really focused on early. If you look at kind of our growth, we really went out and created bang. We started making a noise, stake, real estate. And I think that really helped us because it helped really pick up the demand quickly. And then that's when my experience came on board. And that's where I was tested individually, is how do you go and get the supply? So going out to the market that I know, going out to the brokers and the sellers that I know and be like, hey, you've known me, I know you, we've known each other for a long time. This is my new business, give me supply. And that's when it started being, okay, now we're starting to reach an equilibrium. But it wasn't easy, I'll tell you. How do you convince a broker that, we're going to sign with you to sell? I'm not buying, but I'm putting it on a platform for other people to buy. Yes. And that for me was like, okay, how do you convince people to do that? And it's because of how I'll tell you, in the real estate ecosystem, if people see you as a threat, they'll shut you down immediately. I mean, real estate ecosystem is very cutthroat. But if you come in and you're seen as an enabler and you're complementary to the ecosystem, people will accept you. And I think that's very important, especially if you're entering the space. Yeah, you can disrupt. People always talk about disruption. It's very important to disrupt. But if you're dependent on other players in the ecosystem, you better not ruffle feathers, because
you better fit in.
You might. Yeah, because it's a very, people say it's a huge market. It really is, but the ecosystem is pretty small. So you really need that side of the ecosystem to support you. And I think we've done a very good job with doing that. We work with some of the top brokers in town. We have great relationships with them and great relationships with developers. And I think, at the end of the day, it's, stake is complementary to that ecosystem.
On that note, you recently had an interview with Property Finder. I think I saw something on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Are they friends, competitors, enablers, partners? How do they fit with what you offer?
So we see them as partners. We see them as enablers. At the end of the day, Property Finder is we look up to them. They're what they've achieved is unbelievable. Michael Lahyani is an unbelievable guy. We invited him. He was kind enough. We invited him to speak at our team summit when we celebrated our Series A. So, there's a lot of learnings out of his book, right? For me, we do see them as an enabler, because at the end of the day, they have the most eyeballs. When it comes to real estate, they have the most eyeballs in the market. So we're in real estate. How can we work with you guys? Because our eyeballs are a bit different in the sense of, people are coming to you because they want to rent and they want to buy, but also people will come to you that maybe can't afford to buy. So how can we work with you guys to say, hey, are there people out there that want to buy fractional through us, right? So we're working on a couple of things with them, and I do see that they can become enablers for us, and we can bring a new customer to them. Because the way I see it, and people will come. People who can afford real estate are investing with us, and people who can't afford real estate are investing with us. So we really appeal to both. But people who are investing 100,000 dirhams to test the Dubai market, and if they have a fantastic experience with stake, then eventually they'll be like, okay, hey, now I want to graduate to buying a full home. And people will stick with you long term, because our platform is very sticky. People invest once. Our repeat rate is over 65%. So people are like, okay, I like it. I want to do this again. So imagine someone living in Hong Kong and invests in Dubai. He's heard about Dubai. Dubai is all over the news. It's the sexiest city in the world. Everyone wants a piece of it. Yeah. Okay, I want to test it. I want to get a taste of what Dubai is about. They do it through stake, and he's amazed. Wow, I love it.
Start from what? What's the minimum you start with?
500 dirhams.
$150.
$150. They come in, they start with us. So let's say he gets a great experience, or she gets a great experience, and then they say, okay, after a year or two, okay, now I love Dubai. I've seen what it's all about. I want to buy a full home. Yeah. So can we do that, with what we're doing with Property Finder? So our users will eventually get, and people who've never experienced real estate will experience real estate through us, and then will graduate to eventually owning real estate on their own.
Interesting. So there's really multiple steps in the journey. Like you have to get the taste first, why risk it? And then when you're ready maybe for a bigger investment, or when you're convinced that's the right city, etc., then exactly, you can level up.
100%.
And give us a bit of taste of the scale of stake today versus initial days. Like when you used to put a property, how long did it take to sell it out versus now? Like, just to understand.
When we first listed our first property, it took close to 65 or 90 days. I forgot. It was either 65 or 90 days. It's somewhere in between. Okay. And I remember.
Let's say you could have sold it much faster alone. Like you could have easily sold it faster.
Oh yeah. I would have found someone to buy it. My old life. Easily. You're done, right? And I remember, trust me, there's many nights where I've thought to myself, Rami, what are you doing? You could have, you could sell this.
Open your contact list.
100%. But I remember when it took that long, I had one of our early investors, a family friend, call me. He's like, Rami, this property that you've listed, I think will be sold. He has a 5-year-old son. He said, I think this property will be sold when my son goes to university. What are you guys doing? Like, what's happening with you guys? And I remember I was like, oh my God, what are we, there's something wrong. Fast forward to today. Now we are actually faster than the market. So if you put a property on stake, it will fund in 11 days.
Nice.
11 days is the average. Okay. And if you today want to sell your property in the market, you have to list it on the listing site, wait until the seller sees it, do some viewings. If the seller needs a mortgage, it might take 40 days, 30 days to end. We're actually now faster in the secondary market. We're actually known with some of the top brokers to be the fastest buyers in the Dubai real estate market.
Interesting. So that's a new USP you're introducing on the selling side.
Yeah.
And what is the reason? So just to understand more, I don't understand the market as much, of course, as you do. Just to understand, let's say I have a property. Where do I go sell it today? Do I go sell it to stake? Is this better? Or do I get an agent? Do I list it myself on some sites? What's the best way for me to sell it?
So today, the beauty of it is if you have a property and you're listing it with an agent, agents are introducing stake as a channel now. So they go to the seller and be like, hey, we can list it on Property Finder or Beirut, and it'll probably take, time, viewings. We need to do viewings. Because keep in mind, I want to say something here. If you have a property that's tenanted and someone wants to buy it, they need to view it. And the tenant needs to approve those viewings. It's actually one of the most annoying processes, right? Because, the tenant says you can only come on a Saturday at 8 p.m. or, if they have kids or whatever, they have work. It's an annoying process. So at the end of the day, what we do is we do one viewing, we give you one price, and we transact, done. And we don't do debt. We don't do mortgage. We give you cash. Manage a check, 100%, done. And the transparency for a seller is unbelievable, because today, if you go and you list it, and then through a broker, and what you're doing is you're calling the broker, I'm sure, every week. Did I get an offer? How many people viewed it? What was the offer? What was the price? With us, you can create as a seller, you give us your property, you put it on our platform, you create an account on stake, and you're able to see every single day how much is sold. That transparency doesn't exist. Because imagine you are listing your property on a platform where you're able to see, oh, wow, listen, 5% sold today, 20% sold today. You're telling your wife, oh, by the way, honey, listen, 50% of our property is already sold. I think it'll probably sell in another 5 days. It's like a gamified experience. Like you're actually seeing it being sold. You're getting that full transparency.
It's like a GoFundMe campaign, like a Kickstarter campaign. Like you just put okay, I'm raising $1 million, and then you just see it happening live on the platform.
And it's that exactly. And that transparency is something that we empower sellers for. So if you had a property today, you can list it on a listing site or go through a broker, and they'll sell it for you. And the beauty of it is, as I said, we work with some of the top brokers. So stake is a channel for them, and then they list it on our platform.
In terms of fees, in terms of time, you're faster. In terms of fees,
so in terms of fees, we're above market than the market today. And the reason why is because of the fact that we're running a regulated business, and we have to do the due diligence. We have to put it on the platform. We have to do the 3D tours, all that stuff. So we're more than the market in terms of actually selling direct through a broker. But the transparency, and I'll tell you, we haven't had any pushback on that, because sellers who are around the world are like, hey, this is a better experience. It's hassle-free, and I'm getting 100%, payment. I'm not, have to wait for a bank mortgage, all that stuff. So, it really is allowed us to charge a premium on that side of the market. But I also want to say one thing, for me, it's for a seller who wants to sell their property, it's, okay, what do you want? You want to get a good price. You want to get the market price. You're always going to try to get above the market, but with us, you're going to get what we offer, which is the market price, and we try to actually push to go below the market. But from a seller point of view, is working with some of the top brokers, they trust them, and then they trust us because we're a regulated platform. So they see that they go to the website. They're like, okay, these guys are for real. They're regulated, based in the IFC, have some top shareholders behind them, and that really makes the experience a lot better.
Can you describe a little bit more today, now that you have scaled, you're raising, you rate? First of all, how was they compared to today's environment? I know Dubai might be different, especially in real estate, but how easy or not was it to raise? Maybe easier or not, versus previous rounds? Give us a little bit of taste of what's happening in the market.
Obviously, the Dubai real estate market is hot, as you know, so that helped us raise. Actually, real estate in this region is hot right now. Whether you're looking at here or Saudi, and we'll get into that. But, for us, that really helped us. But it wasn't easy because, everyone you speak to right now is tough. Raising money right now isn't easy. It's tough. People not only expect a good product, traction, good team, they want to see a path to break even and profitability. That's very important. And it's not scale at any cost. Definitely not. Everyone who invested in us, we gave them the comfort that, we're not the type of founders that are going to go crazy and just splash money left and right for the sake of it. And I think that goes with the maturity level that the three of us have, Ricardo, Manad, and myself, that, we're not young and foolish with our money. We're a bit older, mature, and know where to spend and how to spend.
Yeah, your responsibility. You even have families. I guess also this plays a lot with the founders' life. When you also have a family, you make less stupid risk. Probably you have people to report to.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the risk we'll always take calculated risk. I think for us, it's we're not going to go crazy on like it was before. You know how crazy it was in 2020, 2021. People were just spending to acquire customers left and right.
Yeah.
I think we really take stock of that. I mean, this year we're on path to break even out of our Dubai operation, which is great. 4 years in,
Wow.
looking to go profitable by next year, and then look to really break even faster in our operation of what we're doing in Saudi. So, those things. But again, for me, we come from that industry. We come from that background. We're not the type of guys that just lose money. And even our shareholders are very more mature. They're not your average, your typical VCs that were promoting grow at any cost. They want us to be a mature business that's paying out dividends in the future and breaking even and profitable. So
yeah, are you gonna build stake? You might build stake towards a profitable business that pays dividends versus like just a regular exit. Is this something on
yeah, I mean, I'll tell you where we want to be. And if you ask me in 3 to 5 years, where do we want to be? We want to be publicly listed in Saudi Arabia. We want to be on the IPO, on Tadawul. That's where we want to go. That's our dream. We'd love to be listed there. I think there's many success stories or recent success stories. We'd love to be one of them. But in order to do that, you need to have very strong economics, which means you're profitable. And that's how we want to build the business. Again, everything we look at and that's the beauty of having, Manar and really his knowledge and his, how do you say, his attention to detail and everything we do to make sure that really, we're not, we're set. And, it's really helped us with being disciplined.
Nice. Okay.
So, so to answer your question about the VCs, it's, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy at all, but I think, alhamdulillah, we were able to put together an unbelievable set of shareholders behind us. It was really a testament to what we're building, the team. We have an unbelievable team. I know we're just talking about myself, Manan, and Ricardo, but I think we have an unbelievable set of people in the company. And again, I'll say this, we have the best team in Dubai, in the region. We really have across all departments. So that really helped us raise money from, MEVP, one of the largest VCs in town, WAD, Aramco, huge credibility for us in Saudi Arabia, Mubadala, Republic in the US, and Al Jumeirah family in Saudi. We really enabled us to get some big names on the cap table, which really helps when you're an investment platform because it gives you the credibility.
Yes, and probably the network, some of the network, because they have LPs, they have at the end of 100%. The day, it's a money market. Okay, and you said you have a great team, and I honestly have worked again with a few of you guys, and definitely can say that you have very high standards. We've done some projects together in the past. Why do you have a great team? What do you do differently?
We empower people. And we trust. If you can hire the right people and give them the forum to excel and show them that you trust them to run with it, you will get some great output. And honestly, throughout the entire company, I can't think of one person that isn't an all-star, really. And we've really built a culture where people are very responsible. They believe in our mission. They're hardworking, and they don't waste time. Honestly, we don't waste time here. We try to squeeze every single thing that's possible out of the energy and effort that we have.
But you've made initial, the team has always been that great, or have you?
No, something I was telling you earlier, we made mistakes. We made mistakes when we were hiring in the big. Early on, we made mistakes in hiring by not bringing people that were exactly like us. Had in terms of work ethic. Work ethic is super important for me. It's it's work ethic and commitment. And we didn't do that in the beginning, but then as we grew as a business, we really hired people like us. Now, in the sense, they have the same work ethic, same motivation, similar points in their career where they were sick of what they were doing. They wanted to build something great. But also they've come in with their own personalities. I mean, I'll tell you, they've really changed us. I'll tell you as Rami, I would never be comfortable with people saying, "Oh, I'm going to work from anywhere, or work from home," or And I think right now working with and that goes back to what I was saying, trust. When you trust these amazing people around you, you know they're going to get the work done, and that's enabled us to really build a culture that's really hardworking and aggressive and committed, but also give people the space to be like, "Hey, listen, I'll do it when tell me where you want to go. We're going, and I'll do it the way I want to do it." And that's how we've empowered everyone around us, and they've really delivered unbelievable results across all departments in the company.
Awesome. How many people you are now, like are roughly full-timers?
But now, as of today, we will be 72.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
That has grown.
Yeah.
Kind of maybe tripled since a couple of years when we.
We tripled. Yeah, we've our biggest team is product and tech.
Okay.
That's where we really focus.
Okay.
And that includes Saudi Arabia, by the way, when I give you the count. But I think, and one thing that we did, which has really helped us maintain the culture, is we hired a fantastic head of people. Named Sasha. She's really come in and really set a proper process and helped us massively, because as you grow as a team, you kind of tend to lose that. But I think we're not big enough to do that yet. But also, it's good to have someone that's constantly reminding you that, hey, Rami, this is important. You guys need to be doing this. So it's really massively helped with the team.
Okay. Do you have like big roles you're struggling to hire for? Maybe someone of the audience can refer, like, in case, and how can they refer people in case like you really have superstars you're looking for?
So we're doubling down on Saudi.
So
we have
market launchers. What are the potential requirements?
Yeah. We're doubling down on Saudi. So we're hiring across all the different functions: ops, marketing, real estate ops, compliant. Literally, we're hiring across everything. For us right now, it's, we've already have an office there, we have a team, and we're really looking to double down in Saudi. For us, it's our focus. Obviously, grow in what we're doing in Dubai and continue to scale what we're doing, because it's a massive market here. But also really double down on what we're going to launch in Saudi Arabia.
And do you foresee like spending money and time in UAE and Saudi for the next few years, or like would it be rapid growth after that?
Yeah, no. So people always say, where do you see Stake going in the next 3 to 5 years? Why do you? And by the way, we get a lot of inbound saying, come to Asia, come to the UK, come to places in the US. And for us, it's like one thing that we've been very successful on. I think this is maturity, is focus. There's 2 times where we lost focus in our last 3.5 years that really hurt us massively. And there were major lessons to us. And we've really learned from them. Focus for us is very important. So right now our focus is to grow in Dubai, but then grow in Saudi. And I think for the next 3 years, we have our hands full between delivering our goals and our KPIs here in Saudi Arabia, and ensuring that we deliver on the business plan that we promised our shareholders. And Manad and I already have an apartment there. We split our time between Dubai and Saudi. We're focused there. So literally every other week, I'm there. Every other week he's there. We split our time. Ricardo spending time there. Our team from Dubai spending time there. So it's gonna keep us busy for the next couple of years.
Okay, and because also like in your case, it's not like it doesn't matter. Like the city should be very sexy, but then you can sell it over the world. Like you can scale buyers over the world. Buyers over the world, where you just need to focus on smart, good cities. And like it's not like you have to be in 20,000 cities. Just you need to be in the best cities. Also,
yeah, I'll say for us, real estate is very local. So if you're not on the ground, or if you don't have a trusted party on the ground, you're probably not going to deliver a good product to your investors. Because real estate, you need to be there. So we definitely need to be on the ground. But what excites me the most, Samir, is we will be the first platform that allows international investors to invest through Stake on one app into Saudi Arabia, which we're very excited about. So it's one app. Literally, from one app, you can invest in Dubai and invest in Saudi. This is what we're very excited about. When I tell you that we have the best product in the world, you tell me where you can invest in 2 different countries, 2 different cities and countries from one app. Literally, we've built an unbelievable backend, and the rules in Saudi Arabia are different to the rules in the United Arab Emirates. So we've had to build that into our tech, from KYC to where the data is stored, everything. It really helped us, and Ricardo and the team have done a phenomenal job of really delivering an unbelievable backend tech experience, whereby people don't feel that there's a drop off. They don't feel it's laggy. It's literally one app. Like when you look at it. When people ask me, what do you mean? It's like when you have an Uber app or a Careem app, and when you go to London or you're in Saudi, it knows where you are, and you're just using the same app. So why can't you do that in real estate? And we've done that. So it's very exciting.
And for existing customers in Dubai, do they need to do another KYC for Saudi, for example, when they want to like invest in their first property, or it passes along?
Same KYC is passed along, and you can invest in Saudi Arabia. It's amazing. You're gonna love it. As soon as we go live, I'm waiting for your investment.
For sure, man. For sure. Yep. Definitely. Okay. And besides Saudi, do you recall like the most important decisions you've done at stake? Like if you have like some few decisions that you're comfortable sharing, like as deep as possible, as really meaningful as possible. What are some decisions, tough, hard, or good, or smart, strategic, bold? What have you done that really shaped stake besides the day to day?
The tough decision, I'll tell you. This is one going back to focus. We were supposed to go live in Egypt. We spent time, we spent resources, we spent money. It's actually funny, I'll tell you, we haven't really talked about this before. Not many people know this, but we were supposed to go live in Egypt. We hired a team, we got an office, we spent tech and product time, and we actually built the product. And I remember when I presented Egypt to our shareholders, or to the board, sorry, the board were like, listen, it's not the time to be in Egypt, the currency crisis, maybe you need to just focus on Dubai, don't expand, focus. And I remember arguing with the board. I'm like, no, this is an opportunity. I want to be there. I believe in it. I want to do this. And they're like, listen, go ahead. You seem like you see something that we don't. Go ahead. We're not going to stand in your way. And I remember we invested a considerable amount of money outside of just the money, the time. The time that we spent there was a lot.
And the cost of not spending the time in Saudi, I guess, also.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we spent a lot of time there, and I remember we started hitting roadblocks that my board had said you would hit.
Told you so.
Right? And I remember we got to a point where we've spent a lot of money, where the team in Egypt is there, and Manad and I and Ricardo had a call, and we're like, guys, this isn't working. What do we do? Either we continue and you spend, as they say, good money after bad money, because you want to salvage, what you've done, the time, and you don't want to look in front of the team, the hard work that they've put. It's so demotivating.
Yes.
Or you just cut it immediately. And I remember that decision that we made to cut it was so hard. It really was. I remember I lost sleep that night. I didn't go to sleep. I was telling my wife, I'm like, there's people we hired, we've invested that money. How am I going to face the board and tell them you were right?
It's humbling and it's hard to swallow, like
100%. And by the way, that really was a lesson to me, because it changed the way I now work with our board and how I present stuff to the board. Really, they always say, "Oh, the founder knows the most because he's closest to the business." Actually, on the contrary, because you're so close to the business, people will see things that you don't, and that's why having such a good board, and we're very fortunate to have an amazing board, made me realize, hey, Rami, shut up. If your board is saying something, stop arguing, take a step back, look at the data, look at numbers, take their advice. So it really, really changed how we do things. So that was one of the tough decisions, and that happened twice, by the way. Egypt
twice. Okay,
Egypt was one, and another one was a product we were launching, which was like fractional home ownership, which was like a model, like vacation ownership, which we all got excited about because we had seen a company. By the way, I remember this was early days. We saw a company raising at a unicorn valuation. Oh, guys, we need to do this.
There must be something.
Do it. Yeah, there must be something there. Let's do it, and hire the team, and let's do that. And it just wasted so much of our time and energy. So those were two things I remember, that like focus, don't waste time, and listen to your board.
Yep, and I think also this is how you listen to your board, is when they get things right, because otherwise you wouldn't listen to the board if they don't get things right. So there's also a way for you to build this trust, and also
100%. And then another thing is I would say is when you're hiring people, and you're hiring heads or whatever it is, whatever level it is, if in the first 10 minutes or 30 minutes, whatever, after the first interview, there's something in your gut that says, I'm not sure we're going to click, or I'm not sure about this person, don't hire that person. Honestly, I've done that mistake twice, and it cost us money and time. Because again, when you're a startup, and whether you're 20 people or 10 people or 5 people or 70 people, whatever the number is, every person counts.
Exactly.
Every single person counts. And honestly, if not everyone's aligned, one person can start bringing your production down without you even knowing it. You can't hide behind anyone. So I've personally made some hiring mistakes where my gut was telling me, Rami, and I forced it. You start forcing it. You start saying, but no, they do this. But if you're not comfortable, because you're going to be seeing these people every single day, more than your kids, more than your wife, more than your family, you need to know that you're 100% sold, that you're comfortable working with these people and that you trust them. So don't cut corners on that.
Don't discuss your gut feeling, which kind of probably ties to your values, actually. It's like, are they sharing the same values? Do they display values that are aligned with, or like, do they seem fake or whatever?
100%.
Something that sort. Yeah. So it's okay. So it's like bullshitters spotting bullshit, kind of. What's this? You don't need to name anyone, of course not, but like, tactically, what are the things that you saw in this interview, in this meeting? It's like, okay, I think not, but fuck it. Like, I don't have time. I'm just gonna run with it and see how it goes. Like, what went in your head and what happened?
So I hired that person, but 3 months later we lost him. Yeah. And what was the thing during the interview that made me that scared me? But then I'm like, it's okay, just overlook it. Don't worry. So we're all hands on. Honestly, we're all hands on. I mean, but people always laugh about it here because they walk in Gay Avenue. And they're like, from all the company in the IFC, from all the companies are in the IFC, Steak is always the full office. People are always here. We're very hands-on company. Yeah. So I remember in the interview, I was saying, you're coming in as a head, you need to hire a team. And then he said, but I don't need to do the first interview. Someone else can do the first interview. At this level, for that level, I don't need to meet the person. And I remember at that point, that really rubbed me off the wrong way because, sorry, like if I interview anyone, I'm
interviewing
these
you.
are the people.
People now.
Yeah, like we need to interview. Like you're bringing people into the company. You want to know who you're bringing in. And honestly, like I get asked sometimes by our real estate ops team, "Hey, we're bringing someone who's an analyst. Do you want to meet him?" Yeah, of course I do. I do want to meet him. And again, remember I told you earlier in our talk. Hussein Sajwani, the chairman of DAMAC, if you imagine, I don't know how many employees he have, over in the thousands. Anyone who was paid, if I'm not mistaken, when I was working for him, he said, anyone who was paid over 20,000 dirham, he would interview. Oh, wow. Imagine. Okay. I don't know if it was 20 or 30, whatever the number was, but that stuck in my mind. I'm like, okay, this guy is worth billions. He has a huge company, and anyone who earns a certain amount, he will sit down. And that for me stuck with like you have to meet everyone. So that, I ignored it and it bit me in the ass because the person showed that he wasn't hands-on and, was very complacent. Yeah, so those are some painful lessons, but they only come out stronger. Now I've learned that whenever you're interviewing and you're sitting down with someone who's going to come into the company, I'm very open and transparent. Listen, this is how we are. This is what you expect. And please, if you're not that type of person, I'm going to save your time and we're going to save our time. Yeah. But I give them the ugly truth. Yeah. Honestly, I give them the ugly truth. I don't sugarcoat anything. Yeah. And hey, you might get a message from me at 1 a.m. or you might get a call on the weekend that, hey, this needs to be done. Like, I'm very like you have to be transparent. So but that's how you qualify a good talent. Like this is how you see what's popping in their eye. Like, is this something interesting? Or are they defensive because this is gonna happen? Or like run the company as if they're already there. Like just show them, give them a taste and see how they react. Yeah, 100%. On that note, on running the company, on being a co-CEO at Stake and the co-founder. What does today? How does your week look like? How do you spend your time, in proportion, or what are the things that works, or literally what happened this week that was important, or what's something important next week? Give us a taste of really what's Rami doing now. So my main focus right now is scaling on the real estate side, on our relationship side for Dubai. So my main focus is working with the real estate team to ensure that we're really going because. Right now we have over 235 properties in our portfolio. If we stay at our current growth rate, we'll be over 400. And that really starts becoming, hey, are we now becoming one of the largest landlords in Dubai? Because Dubai is not like other places. You don't have these institutional investors that own, buildings and all the. So we're becoming now a platform. And that's one of the goals that we have. We want to be the largest landlord in Dubai. So when you're looking at that, I spend a lot of time with the acquisition team, our head of real estate ops, to basically see how we could scale that from a property management perspective. How do we make sure that, our investors get the income? One thing that keeps me up at night is user experience. So, when you invest on Stake, what happens after? People need to, have such a transparent and seamless experience. So I do spend a lot of my time on the real estate side, but going back to hands-on, I still spend time. I go and present to real estate brokers around town. So I'll go with the real estate team. I'll go sit down with the real estate brokers, top real estate brokers. Hey, this is what Stake's about. We want to work with you. I go present to, 20, 30 brokers, whatever it is, to tell them, hey, this is what we do. And I love doing this stuff. I actually love talking to the ecosystem because you learn a lot. Okay, this is not attractive. This is what's working. This is what's not. So that's, I would say, at least 40% of my time. And then I spend a lot of time with what we're doing in Saudi in terms of hiring. So I'm spending a lot of time on that. What are the roles that are on my side of the business, whether it's on sales, marketing, real estate ops. I'm working a lot with the team there to see how do we build that function. And then, the balance of my time is really looking at what our customer complaints are. Where are customers not happy? We had a webinar yesterday, which is Ask Me Anything. So we want to do these once a month. I get onto this webinar and we just invite people and we tell them to ask us questions. So yesterday, I think we had over 400 questions. We couldn't answer all of them. So I got a list today of what were the questions and where can we improve. So I'll tell you, we are addicted to user experience. Addicted. I'm telling you, I can't even stress on this more. We are so addicted to user experience, user interface, all that stuff. So, if I get a negative comment somewhere, I'll just get on it and I'll message the team. What do we reply? Show me what we're going to reply. It's in me now. So that's how I've been spending my time this week, at least. So that's where my focus is.
And what about marketing and growth? Is something you manage, correct? Like with the rest of the teams. How is the structure today with the marketing/growth team? How big is it? And if you can share, like roughly, what's your spend rate? Like, I don't know, whatever you're comfortable with sharing, of course.
So our marketing structure is we have an unbelievable head of marketing, which focuses on branding, PR, social, everything has to do with digital marketing, partnerships. Her name's Sarah. She runs all that side of the business. She has an unbelievable team with her, from designers to social media managers to product marketing. She really has built an unbelievable side of the business there. And then we just are in the process of hiring. Well, I don't know. By the time you air this, you probably would have been hired a head of growth, whereby we're going to have basically performance marketing, CRM, just growth, basically growth analysts on that side of the business.
Will they have influence on product as well as growth? Like how's gonna break it down? Like
they'll be working very closely with our director of product, which is Finn. You've met him before.
Yes, of course.
One of the best guys out there as well. Honestly, we're fortunate to have him on the team, and he'll be working very closely with our head of growth, because product and growth, they're like married, right? And I've learned a lot from you on that, right? In our early days, it's like, okay, who's responsible for product, who's responsible for growth? And I think they're both, super responsible for it. And there's the tasks kind of come together. So they'll be working very closely together, and each team will have its own KPIs on what each one needs to focus on.
Awesome. Do you want to share? Like, can you share how much you spend? It's totally fine if you cannot estimate how much you. Okay.
We spend.
We graduated. We graduated. We spent.
Yeah, we spend more than what we used to spend when we were working together.
Yeah. For sure. That was again a few years ago. Awesome. And so this is on growth. This is on product, etc. Would you ever allow us to have more than real estate in terms of investment opportunities?
We get asked that all the time, and our answer is it's a great idea, but no. Stake is known for real estate. Real estate is big enough. It's a massive opportunity. We don't want to get. We've had people say, "I want to sell fractional cars, rental cars." By the way, why don't you sell art, fractional art? Why don't you do for watches? Okay. All of them great opportunities, but in my opinion, which is going back to focus, you need to be the best in one thing rather than good in many things. Right? Okay. So we want to focus on real estate. It's what we know, what we love. Everyone has passion for. So yeah, heads down, real estate is what we're doing.
Another question on move. Anything else on Stake that you would like to highlight for viewers and listeners?
No, I just think we are really growing in Dubai. We're growing in Saudi. I hope that people who've used our product are happy and have experienced a great kind of end-to-end journey. We're committed to really improving. So if any of your listeners have tried us, please thank you and keep giving us more feedback. And if they haven't, then try us and give us the feedback.
Awesome. And leave comments, of course, because Rami loves feedback. So
we'll. Oh yes.
Awesome.
All the time.
Okay. Moving a bit to the MENA ecosystem, and like as a, let's say, as a founder who's doing pretty well, who has, built a decent, successful startup so far, what do you think, what would you do if you can, move the needle and like change something in the MENA ecosystem, right? We all nag, everyone says like things could be better, etc. But like, is there really one thing that you believe, not only for stake, right? Like just, high level, for all these entrepreneurs, for all these first-time founders or second-time founders or VCs, what can you do better for the ecosystem, or what can the ecosystem do better, you think? Like just one major thing that you believe is a problem that could be done better.
So I want to, but before I answer that, I want to ask you. You say people nag. What do they nag about? Honestly, I'm not aware. What do people nag about?
Good. Yeah, I hear polarized opinions. First of all, we have great talent, or we have shitty talent. We have good VCs, we have shitty VCs. Our infrastructure is too slow. We cannot move countries fast. We cannot scale. Regulation is too hard. It's too expensive. John, like, there will be like plenty of, these type of maybe small complaints, etc. But like for you specifically, do you see a big flow? And like, what do you believe?
So I'll tell you, I'll disagree on a couple of things, right?
Uh-huh.
I'll say this is the golden age of the MENA region. I mean, honestly, it is the golden age. It's the best time to be in MENA. And that's why we're focused on MENA. I don't think there's a better time. You tell me, when has there been a better time to be living in Dubai, Riyadh, Qatar? Where this is the best time. So for me, I don't think that, people saying, oh, the ecosystem is bad or there isn't enough opportunity. I disagree. Dubai and Saudi Arabia and Abu Dhabi are on the map right now. Everyone's talking about them around the world. People from all over the world want to move here. They want to invest here.
Yeah.
I disagree on that. But having said that, people are saying, oh, it's expensive. Yeah, but again, it's compared to other places, for what you're getting, the value that you're getting in this part of the world is second to none, honestly. If you go to places, I have friends who are living in the US, I have friends who are living in Europe, who have businesses, and
on that point, Rami, in US, everyone builds something out of their garage, right? Like this is how most startups start. Can you do that in Dubai? If you're a 23-year-old guy? When you came first, can you come and build something?
I mean, back then when I was 23, now you're making me seem very old.
But you know what I mean. Oldie 23-year-old.
Yeah, back then, no. But today, as a 23-year-old in Dubai, you can build something out of your garage, or your home. You can. I don't see why not. I don't see why you can't build something out of...
Sorry, what I mean is, in the US, for example, you live with your parents, you wouldn't pay rent, you wouldn't have to pay anything. Like, it's very cheap to fail.
But here's my thing. So Dubai today, if you're living with your parents, you're assuming that you're living with your parents. But if you're coming to Dubai, or if you're in New York or in London and you're there studying, whatever, you're not going to be living with your parents, right? People in Dubai, they come here for an opportunity, and then they're like, okay, I want to launch a business. It's much easier today than it was when I was 23. Much easier. Much easier. The opportunity is bigger. It's more competitive, for sure. But the opportunity is there. And I'll say something, people will say, oh, talent. Talent is very difficult to find here. That, for me, is an excuse. If you're not able to attract good talent to Dubai, then you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, either am I not able to sell what Dubai is all about, or am I not able to sell the business? Because at the end of the day, anyone you speak to from around the world wants to move here.
Yeah, I can say that with full conviction. Having spoken with and working with Daya, my co-founder, and who runs our recruitment, she's getting bombarded now from product to growth people to everyone who's like, what do you have in Dubai? What's going on? Not Dubai, especially Dubai, including Riyadh, by the way, but especially Dubai has been really on the map. And especially in this market. So talent-wise, I think we can always get better, honestly. And then, like, most of the talent is due to importing it, because we don't have really strong, by default, local talent, just like, let's say the strategy that US has. But like, you could get talent. I also believe like you could get talent. Even if it's rare, you could get it. Like you can solve for it if you're a good founder, if you're a good startup.
100%. A good startup, good founder. You need to be able. I mean, listen, as a founder, you need to be able to sell, right? You need to be able to sell the dream, sell what you're doing, what you're building. Yeah. So it's super important. But again, what's helping you? What are the tailwinds that you have with you? You have Saudi Arabia, which is really starting to open up and is on the verge of really going to the next level. And then you have Dubai, which has really established itself and is really growing on year. If you're not able to sell that and use that to your advantage, then obviously there's something wrong. Because talent, when I speak to people, when we're talking to people internationally, trying to recruit them, And I'm like, listen, okay, they're based in London or they're based in Singapore, or they're based in Paris or they're based in New York. And we're like, okay, this is how people are buying real estate today. Okay. This is how people are buying real estate in Dubai or in Riyadh. People are like, oh, really? Yes. And this is how big the market is. Dubai this year will reach over 1 trillion dirhams of transactions. They're on track to beating $200 billion. I mean, it's crazy. And then Saudi Arabia just literally did over $80 billion of transactions, expected to go even more than double over the next 2 years. So when you look at the market and you're telling that to someone, why wouldn't they want to come here?
Yes,
so
exactly.
Talent, in my opinion, I check that off. I think, no, you're able to get good talent. Now, where I think where I agree on some of the complaints where we can get better as an ecosystem, is I think there needs to be better communication between the different departments that are governmental that you depend on. So, for example, if you're in the real estate business, you're dealing with a financial regulator or you're dealing with the land department. You might be dealing with a third regulator. I mean, even in Saudi Arabia, I think there needs to be a better kind of communication between all the departments that you're working with, or that you need to, report to.
Yeah.
That for me is very important. You see, one thing that I was talking with a regulator the other day, and I was saying, stake will literally lives on and dies on what fees we pay to the government, because at the end of the day, we're a transactional government, we're a transactional platform. So there's a lot of fees that you need to pay, whether it's to the DFC, to the land department, whatever. So for us, it's like, hey, for us to really be successful, if we want to take stake to the next level, we need your help with some of the fees that we pay as a business, as a startup. And they're very open to it. You just need to make the case and you need to be persistent. You need to be persistent. I mean, I'm annoying, and I'm sure when it comes to these things, if you speak to some of these regulators, they'll tell you, Rami is like messaging us, calling us, going to our office. You have to do these things.
So you have to make the change also. Like sometimes instead of nagging, like just go talk to the people. Like they would listen, especially in a city like Dubai, in terms of innovation and like, yeah.
And again, like, listen, it's a business at the end of the day. So what's the benefit for them, right? If you're bringing benefit to the ecosystem,
exactly,
people are going to open their arms and open the doors to the offices, and they're going to invite you in. But you need to know how to present your case. And I think people tend to complain, and it's very easy to complain. But at the end of the day, it's how are you presenting the case? Are you presenting the case properly? Are you explaining what you really need? I'm not saying that it cannot get better. We can get the ecosystem can get better, as I said. But I think we as founders need to really look ourselves in the mirror and say, what can we be doing better? How can we present better? Is our case strong? Let's be clear on what we need. And I always say this to anyone on the team or anyone, can you identify, just be very clear, what are the points, what do you need, and we will get it done. But be very clear. And I think that's sometimes, we can't get talent. Yeah. Easy to say. This regulator is not helping me. What have you tried? What have you done? How have you sold it? So, but I say this because there's many startups that will start in Dubai and then go to Europe and go to the US, wherever. We believe that the billion-dollar businesses, the successful businesses, people talk unicorn. I don't look at unicorn. I don't talk about that stuff. We talk about successful businesses will be based in this part of the world. And it's only starting. We're just scratching the surface, man. We really are just scratching the surface.
I 100% agree. I think we're really well positioned towards like the next wave of opportunities in the region. 100%.
Give me two other countries that are doing what the UAE and Saudi Arabia are doing right now. Give me two other countries in the world. No one's doing what these two countries are doing. No one. And they announce and they deliver. So why not want to be? Who wouldn't want to be part of this?
Exactly. Why not bet on your origins, where you belong, your region? Of course.
And again, one thing that's always forgotten is this part of the world. The population that you're dealing with is pretty much very similar. Yes, Dubai is a melting pot. You have different nationalities, everything. But if you look at the region in general, they're very much similar culturally. And they have the same affinities. They're very tech savvy. So really, you can build something at scale for the region without really overthinking. And we see that.
Mainly when you're online also. Like, for example, I had an episode before with Zubair, and he was saying, for example, one interesting statistic is that out of the 10 MENA countries, the top 10 MENA countries, when it comes to GDP, I forgot what was how did he rank them, but the biggest 10, only 2 startups have managed to be in them, in the entire all the startups that have been grown in MENA, only 2 were able to be in these 10 countries. One of them is Kareem. Great. And the other is Rami because it's online. No other startup has been able to capture the 10 biggest markets. This, for me, is a bit hurtful. Only this. Now, if you're only doing online, if you have a tech product, you don't need to worry about that, regulation, etc., then you're great. But what if you're not? It eliminates big chunks of potential opportunities, no?
I agree. And again, it's all product based, right? It depends on the product that you're doing. And I mean, for us specifically, real estate, it's so local.
Yes.
So do you want to be in Pakistan? Do you want to be
in the best
Egypt?
cities? You want to be in the best cities that are trending positively?
Yeah. Again, it really depends on the product. But again, so going back to that, I mean, if you look at some of the success stories that have happened. Okay, we talk about Kareem. Kareem is a prime example. You look at, I'll give you, he's one of the founders I look up to, an unbelievable guy, Hussam Arab, founder of Tabi.
Yes.
I mean, he's built an unbelievable machine. It's one of the most successful businesses, most successful fintech businesses. And he's based between here and most of his business between here and UAE and Saudi Arabia. So there is potential to grow huge business out of 2 markets. You look at who's gone public now. You look at Jahiz. They've gone public in Saudi Arabia, focusing on the Saudi market.
Yeah.
There's just Rasan. Rasan is an insurance company that just went public in Saudi Arabia that focuses on insurance in Saudi. So, there's the market is big enough.
I got you. So besides Egypt, you basically have like 85-90% of the markets already in between UAE and Saudi, to also be honest.
Yeah. And again, it's for me, it's real estate.
Yeah. Yeah.
People will always want to invest in real estate. They want a home. How do you build on this? And I think this is where my eyes light up, and everyone in the company, they all get excited because of the fact that there's just so much opportunity behind this asset class in this part of the world.
There definitely is. Last question about also the ecosystem, etc. So you mentioned Tabi, I guess, and Hussam. Who else inspires you really in this part of the world? Like, who's building something cool? Who knows how to build? Which is a good founder or is a good startup? Like, just a shout out for, hey, thanks for being great. You've learned something from them, or just respect them for who they are.
So, you said it already. Hussam Arab and what he's done at Tabi is someone I really, love what he's doing. And we've invited him and he was kind enough to spend some of his time speaking to our team. Which what he's built is phenomenal. I told him I love what he's doing, but I also hate what he's doing because he's increased the spend at my home, because everything is Tabi payments now. Literally, all of a sudden the house thinks we can afford a lot more things because of him. So yeah, he's someone that I definitely look up to and wish him all the success. Also I mentioned earlier Michael Lahiani.
Yes.
What he's done at but people will say, oh, he's not really a startup. But again,
but he gets shit done. He gets shit done.
Yeah, he gets stuff done, right? He definitely gets stuff done. And I just feel like, he's done a phenomenal job in growing the business, like real estate, and just really becoming a market leader and a the perfect example of a profitable, successful business. But one of the businesses, and you and I were talking about this earlier on, I look at what they've done, and he's done a phenomenal job. Ahmed at Kalo.
Ahmed Rawi, yep.
Yeah, he's done an amazing job. Just, we exchange messages from time to time, but he's just such a down-to-earth, hardworking guy, and he's really built a great brand, and the food is phenomenal. If you haven't tried his food, try it.
Definitely did. I was customer number 1 in Dubai, man. We were friends, and I support Kalo a lot, for sure.
I actually went and ate in one of their restaurants in Kaftan,
the cafe
in Riyadh. Yeah. It's really good. So, and again, there you go. Like, he's building an unbelievable business in the region.
He started in Bahrain.
Yeah. Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Started Bahrain. So, like, for me, it's these founders are great. And, I think the fintech, this is where it's exciting for me. The fintech space, if you look at, you consider Tabi a fintech, you have one amazing success story, but then there are other great fintech stories that have come out of the region. I think that's where the opportunity is. We're really just scratching the surface right now. There's just massive opportunity to do in this space. And yeah, so excited about the future.
Rami, thank you so much, man. It has been amazing. Thanks for being humble, for being honest, for being just who you are, man. I always liked you and loved you and respected you. I wish you the best at stake and in life, and I hope we stay friends and we stay in touch.
Definitely. Thanks a lot for your time, man. I love this. This was a great show, man, and I really wish you the best, and look forward to seeing more people on the show. And yeah, I look forward to it, man. I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Rami. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Take care.